Dad, Grandma has a picture of you alone on your wedding day.
Well, see, that's because your mom and your grandmother always had a very tense relationship.
Yeah, Daddy, why they never got along?
Well, your grandmother always wanted me to marry a lighter-skinned woman. She tried to like your mama, but she always thought she was just a little too dark.
Dad, that's crazy. I'm sure Grandma doesn't care what color skin Mom has.
Yes, she does. See, your grandma came through a very turbulent time in history, and to her, lighter skin meant less pain, less suffering. She always thought if I could marry lighter, then you boys would have an easier time to make it in the world. You see, kids, sometimes racism stems from a place of love.
Well, you know something, Daddy? I've always said this to myself. I was just 3 shades away from greatness.
There she is.
Ah, look at my boys. It's like 3 Snicker bars came to life.
Real quick, I guess you could say the Carmichael show, they kind of addressed colorism again. Kind of, sort of, in a way. I like the way they did it because if you watch YouTube videos and things of that nature, the conversation is oversaturated and it's looked at to me from the simplistic form of, well, this rapper, this entertainer said this or said that, and you know they won't pick us type of thing. But I'm thinking, I like how the show actually addressed it from, you know, a deeper standpoint. Not just looking at the end result of a situation, but breaking down like why we got here. They didn't go deep into that, but spoiler alert for the episode, the grandmother had no pictures of her son's wife, who was according to the grandmother, too dark skinned, and she came from that old school era where like they practiced that, like they didn't want you, they wanted you to get with fair skinned people because they thought that, you know, having darker skin would have a more problematic life. And it's funny when people say things like, you know, biracials or house Negroes or mixed people they were getting screwed up too, and it was bad for them too. And I'm like, be that as it may, there still was a hierarchy, right? There were white folks at the top, there were mulattoes and lighter skinned people who could pass for mixed or pass for white in the middle, and there were dark skinned folks at the bottom. Like, why is it hard to acknowledge that hierarchy did exist? Everybody want to be on some kumbaya, we were all in the same boat, but a lot of these older black folks who were colorists acknowledged that they thought in their worldview, they saw that lighter skinned people were treated differently and they were treated better. And that's why they, you know, they encouraged their sons to not date dark skinned women or vice versa. I'm gonna talk about a movie that does a great job of breaking that down, that I think everybody should go watch. It was free on YouTube, but it might not be anymore. But I'm gonna talk about that. But it was interesting that I've said before, the Carmichael show is like most black sitcoms. To me, they just push a bunch of liberal BS agendas. This typical, you know, black people are dumb, they shouldn't have guns. Black people are homophobic, they gotta be accepting of gays. You know, politics, all that. To me, it leans in the left. Right, Blackish has a couple episodes I think were pretty balanced and decent, but they're in the same boat. They just push liberal bullshit to me. Pretty much every episode of the Carmichaels, it's like that debate, and they go for it. But at the end of the day, the son Gerard, he caves in and he does whatever his girl wants, or whatever the liberal agenda was. It's facilitated at the end of the show. But I do like the comedy. I do like how they address real time situations. I just don't like how the episodes end a lot, where whatever the bullshit liberal agenda is, it's that's how you end off on each show. But I am going to address or look at the other content that I watched years ago that goes a step further than what they did here with colorism. It's the movie called The Wedding. It was on YouTube free. I think it's probably gone by now.
Did you really wish our mom was light skinned?
Bobby, don't bring that up now.
I was just trying to look out for y'all. But don't worry, Bobby. When we meet Jesus, we're all one. Jesus doesn't see color.
I'm one of the right sort. Handsome, fair. You do understand. Yes, Graham.
Alrighty, so this is the movie The Wedding, Halle Berry, Lynn Whitfield. I think people should watch it. It is free on YouTube, but it's breakdown in parts. Spoiler alert. Basically, the movie is good on so many different angles, right? But basically, you have Halle Berry, who is supposed to be biracial. No, she's supposed to be a 75%er. But Lynn Whitfield is her mom, and her mom is supposed to be biracial. Lynn Whitfield's mom was white, and she died because she was sick, and she died young. Lynn Whitfield's character was raised by her racist grandmother. And the movie, it exposes the bourgeoisie, the black, the Boule Birds, Roland Martin people. It kind of exposes that. I think they're on, I don't know if there's Martha's Vineyard or whatever in this movie. The Inkwell, which is another one of my favorite black movies. That movie, to me, had a cast of probably, a bunch of beautiful chocolate sisters, at least 3 of them in that whole movie. You won't even think about Jada with the cast that they had in that movie. But that movie also, too, kind of shows you the black bourgeoisie class. But anyways, in this film, it talks about more than that, just colorism, but it breaks down the black bourgeoisie. It breaks down... there was another character who's a black guy who got with a white woman, and as folks like to say, he got his Negro card. His white woman's father didn't approve of their relationship, so he went back to this. I'm not sure if it's Martha's Vineyard. No, not Martha's Vineyard, but the black version of Martha's Vineyard, whatever. Or whatever. But basically, that's Lynn Whitfield. Her grandmother's in the background. Lynn Whitfield's character is supposed to be biracial. Her grandmother's father was a slave owner or whatever, and a respected person, respected name. Lynn Whitfield ended up marrying a black man who's a doctor, but that relationship only occurred because the bourgeoisie black class made him. He wanted to marry his nurse, who he ended up she was basically his side chick. That's who he loved, that's who he wanted to be with. But the bourgeoisie class, when he graduated from college, he wanted to go to medical school, but the only way they were going to pay for that and do it for him is if he married Lynn Whitfield's character. Now, there's a scene in the movie when Lynn Whitfield's grandmother, the racist white woman, she tells Lynn Whitfield specifically, make sure if you go out and you date that you bring home a fair-skinned black dude. So she tells him, the grandmother, the white grandmother says, don't bring home no dark-skinned black guy. Make sure you get with a lighter-skinned black guy so we can have some light-skinned grandbabies. This is the white woman telling her daughter that. Now, Halle Berry character is interesting because she's the black girl who comes from wealth because, again, her grandmother's father is wealthy from being in the slave trade. And, her father's a doctor. And the white dude she's marrying, and this is the stereotype, the trope, that a lot of black women who hop the fence get with dudes who aren't producers. In this episode, in this example, that's the same thing. He's like a musician. He doesn't come from wealth. And, of course, their family's not really cool with that. Another angle you have is the brother who's on the show who's interested in Halle Berry. He's full of it. He is, there's another movie I want to break down too where it shows a character just like him, but I think this is him right here. Those are his daughters right there. That's him. He's married to like a white woman somewhere else, but her father is racist and he did not. I think he said something to him and he ran away with the kids for a little bit. And he's up here trying to holler at Halle Berry, trying to get with her, while she's engaged to the white dude. But he's making these, pro-black arguments about, why are you with this white dude? Little did we know, he got a Becky at home. I don't know if that's the mother of his children, or if that's like his second wife or something like that. But that was hilarious because it exposed that to a lot of these fake pro-black dudes who, are against IR, but they do it themselves. pass the sugar. Can you tap that sister over there? No, not you, the beautiful white Nubian queen. Like one of them type of guys. But that's her white dude who is not, he doesn't come from money. He doesn't have wealth like she does. He's just a musician. Her family is not feeling that at all. Look at the brother who's facing him already, like, but he got a white woman at home too, though, right? But the biggest scene in the movie, and you can watch it for yourself, is when, to me, that revealed a lot, because this is the 1950s, right? This is black when, blacks, still segregation, but, intact family still. Black folks were starting to get educated, things of that nature, and building some type of situation for themselves. This is before Jim Crow, this is before integration, before government handouts and things of that nature. There was a scene where Lynn Whitfield reveals that she had an abortion because it was a boy, and the father, he wanted a boy. He had two girls, and both of them were light skinned. I think both of them are actually biracial in real life. Halle Berry and Halle Berry's sister. The Halle Berry's sister is kind of excommunicated a little bit because Lynn Whitfield, the colorist, she didn't approve of her choice to mate. She chose a black man who I think is a dentist or some type of a medical field, so he has a good job, he can provide and all that stuff. But Lynn Whitfield, caught up in the colorism, he's a dark-skinned black man and produced little chocolate babies too, so she kind of like disowned her own daughter because of that. And there's also a scene where it's revealed in the movie, and this is a deep spoiler alert. You might want to stop and go watch it. It's on YouTube. But you pause it. All right. But he basically he was mad. He was ready to leave his wife and go be with the side chick because he never loved her in the first place, and he only got with her because the bourgeoisie said he had to get with her in order to become a doctor. But Lynn Whitfield revealed that she had an abortion. She killed his son. Like, it would have been a boy. And she said she did it because she didn't know if he was going to come out light skin or dark skin. And the in their mindset, just like in the other episode of the Carmichael, they thought that they were doing the right thing. As fucked up as it sounds, they thought that what they were doing was right. They thought it was protecting their children by aborting them before they were born, because they didn't want them to deal with, colorism, and they didn't want, because they knew that a dark-skinned black man was going to have a lot more trouble than a lighter-skinned man or woman. But that's interesting because the show, like, to me, like, again, a lot of the commentary on YouTube about colorism is to me, it's surface level. It's definitely biased and one-sided, and boo-hoo, this rapper said this rapper said that, they not picking me type of thing, but they don't really break it down. Like, this is some generational shit. And I watched the one video where the women are like giving their colorist stories, and I'm like, half the comments is like, my brother said this and my cousin said that. I'm like, them your freaking family members. What the fuck do you care what they said? Like, like, you're not supposed to be thinking about them in that way anyway. So it's like, whatever. But I like how the movie breaks these down. Both episodes articulate that this was some real psychological, psychological damaging things that went on. This is something that was passed down from generation to generation. So it's like, we look at the surface level of, oh, he just self-hating and yada yada yada. But like, no, this was done to us. This was deeper than that. It's not like, there's some therapy needed in this situation, to the point where where people were making sure that their children got what lighter skin be. Like I think the Colombians, some type of Latino culture, I think they call them Blackamentos. A lot of Mexicans and Spanish speaking people do it, where they purposely, they get with people who are white or lighter skinned than them because they don't want any type of that. If they had any African blood in their system, they want to get rid of it. They call it Blackamentos. It's no different than that. It's the same thing. We were doing it too in the 1940s and 50s. And we see the end results of it now, but I think we misplace what it really is about. It's not, it's beyond just self-hate and things of that nature. And I don't think we even break down to decipher who's in that situation either. We just look at, oh, he picked her. Damn, he's a colorist. You know, if the sky is blue, you know, it's gray. No, oh, he's a colorist. Nah, that's just my video though. I thought it was interesting that the Carmichaels addressed that situation. That's something that doesn't really talk. And I like the way he did it, to where he showed you that a lot of our old grandmammies were colorists as shit. And, you know, of course, today we like to blame it on black men a lot, but a lot of the older matriarchs facilitated this situation. That's my video. Check out the movie.